To say that this is a game changer is a massive understatement. The difference between Cycles and EEVEE has always been that Cycles is a ray tracing engine, meaning that light is actually bouncing around off geometry and interacting, and long story short, we get global illumination, which is what makes Cycles renders look better than EEVEE renders, which is a rasterizing engine, which means that EEVEE is basically bullshit. It's faking everything, the volumetrics are fake, the screen space reflections. EEVEE will never look as good because global illumination is just inherently not there, especially not real-time global. Wait a second, did somebody just make an add-on for screen space global illumination? Yes, so this is a big fucking deal. EEVEE can now fake, at least in screen space, the same way screen space reflections, it can fake global illumination, meaning that our renders are now getting closer and closer and closer to Cycles, while our render time is still stupid low. So somebody made an add-on for screen space global illumination on Gumroad. This is going to be linked in the description, and this person made it for free. So what you're going to do is, first of all, we're going to download it, we're going to install it, and I'm going to show you what this thing is capable of. When you go to the Gumroad link, just type in any number, maybe $1,000, $10,000. Give them a good amount because fucking hell, this is a useful add-on. To install this bad boy, what you're going to do is you're going to go to Edit, Preferences, and then Add-ons. Basically, this is the same as installing any other add-on, and then you're just going to hit Install and locate wherever you saved it to. So for me, I have my Ssgi zip on the desktop. Enable this, and by the way, it's made for 2.83.4, like the newest 2.83. I don't download it, I'm lazy, it's compatible, don't worry about it, but make sure you are updated at least to 2.83 before installing this add-on. Once you have this installed, what you're gonna see is when we hit N, we are gonna get a new little item on our N menu called Ssgi, which is, you guessed it, screen space global illumination, and in fact, everything we need is right here, so let me set up a basic scene and show you how this works. Okay, so I've set up a basic scene, let me show you around the house and tell you what I've set up here. So here we have a sphere on a plane, nothing complex. We're using EEVEE, and a couple things I want you to notice before I blow your mind with some Ssgi is, first of all, both of these objects, the sphere and the giant plane, have a principled BSDF as the material. This is important because it only works with principled and diffuse BSDFs, at least as of the moment, unless I misread it, but I think that's the case. And we are using EEVEE render engine with ambient, bloom, screen space reflections, just a bunch of basic stuff. This is kind of the EEVEE render that you're probably used to. The shadow's pretty harsh, and that's just a result of the intensity of the light. If I was to take my light and change the radius, something like 0.5, we get softer shadows. But this is an EEVEE render, meaning that this side of the object that is not facing the light is dark, and that means that there's no global illumination, because with Cycles, if we switch to Cycles, you're gonna see that we get some light bouncing back from the plane to the back side of this, so it's not supposed to be completely in shadow. And now let's see what the screen space global illumination can do for us. So if I hit the N menu, and then you're gonna see a whole bunch of stuff, forget about it. All I want you to look at is this Add Ssgi button. It's pretty much the only one we're gonna use. When you click it, magically, EEVEE has global illumination. So you can see that now this back side of the object is lit up from the plane. If I was to take this plane object and change the color to red, you can see that it's now reflecting light. It's reflecting red light onto the bottom of this. So it's not just like adding white light, it's actually taking the color from the surface. It's a big fucking deal. And you can see that what this is actually doing is, again, this is not global illumination, this whole thing is faked, but it's doing all of this from node group type stuff. So it took our principled BSDF and replaced it with this Ssgi principled, which looks pretty much the same, however it is a node group, so we can enter it. You can see all the nonsense. Quite frankly, I'm not even going to pretend to understand what's going on here, but when you click that Add Ssgi button, this is what happens. It replaces it with this, I don't know, I'm talking so weird. It replaces it with this node group, and then we can do the opposite. We can remove Ssgi, which is just going to go back to a principled BSDF for all the objects that had that inherently. Something I want you to notice here is that this is real time. We can move around, and the global illumination just kind of recalculates depending on screen space, which is going to change depending on where we're looking. Let's take this up a notch. So here I have the classroom scene that I feel like everybody uses in every one of their tutorials, but this is original. I'm the first one to have used it. And you can see that this is a much more complicated kind of scenario than just having a sphere on a plane. Right now we're looking at this through look dev mode, and as you can imagine, if we were to go to the camera view and look at EEVEE, this thing isn't looking too hot. Of course, we could do some extra lighting tricks, just add lights all over the room, forget that. What we're trying to do is add global illumination, at least screen space, with only this sunlight that we can direct and change at any time. Right now, this is what EEVEE looks like. It's not too hot, and if we were to change it to Cycles, of course, we get something that takes way longer to calculate, but it looks significantly better because of that global illumination. Let's see what we can do about this with some Ssgi. I'm gonna switch back to EEVEE because that's what we want to be using, and I've already clicked that Add Ssgi button. And I don't think I've talked about these sliders yet. We can actually control the kind of quality of our screen space global illumination, which of course isn't very photorealistic, but screw it, we want to have control. We're going to have fun moving around some of these sliders. So the main one that we're going to be using is this Boost Ssgi. In other words, make the global illumination more intense, make it more present. And if we were to slide this up, of course I've already converted everything to have Ssgi, you can see that we're starting to get more light in our scene, and as we get closer to 1, it's going to start adding significant amount of light in our scene. So this is a comparison of what it was before, 0, and then 1 after. So you can see why this is a major deal. Of course, we can also control other sliders. I don't mess around with most of these. Maybe this dark and direct light, which is taking the direct light, not this indirect global illumination stuff, and we can make it darker so it's less significant. So this is mostly global illumination now. If you turn it off, you're gonna see very little, but now it's mostly global illumination, or you can keep a lot of this direct lighting and brighten up the scene. Again, this is real time and screen space, meaning that it's gonna look different, kind of depending on where we're looking. If we look at the light source of the window, it's going to be much brighter. And kind of the impressive part of this tech demo is you take the sun and you rotate it, and it just keeps recalculating this global illumination in real time. Of course, this kind of thing works in cycles, that's just kind of implied, but look at that render time, this is nonsense. So I urge you to download that add-on, maybe pay the person, because it's kind of a big deal. It's taking EEVEE and making it, closer to cycles renders, but we don't have to spend all the extra time. EEVEE is getting overpowered, and quite frankly, I'm ready. I'm puckered up. Just give me the realistic EEVEE renders. That's all I have for you guys. See ya. What is this? Does the default cube finally have a sponsor? That's right, we got a sponsor, and I like this one because it's actually hyper relevant to Blender, and it's something I'm going to be using because I got the add-on for free, because I got that behind the scenes look. Long story short, this is Botanique, which is an add-on for Blender, which lets you spawn in trees, shrubs, potted plants, anything to do with nature, which are all things that are very hard to model yourself, so this kind of automates that process. Let me give you a quick kind of overview of how it works, and then I'll give you an affiliate link, and you can decide if you want it. So once you install the add-on, you're going to see it right here. This is the name of the company. This is the Botanique add-on. You click spawn asset, and this lets you pick what asset you want. There's a bunch of botanist words that I don't understand, but I do understand shrubs. So you can pick whatever shrub you want, for example, spawn that in, and this is the same kind of process for trees or whatever. You just spawn whatever it is you want. You can see that this is hyper photorealistic, as in this thing just kind of looks real, and you can scatter it all over your scene, and it comes with some extra features like random transform. So you got to select it first. You got to random transform, which is going to rotate it randomly because, and you might be thinking, what's the point of this? It's because if you have multiple of the same asset that you're just scattering around, you want them to look a bit different, and if you just rotate it, they will look like kind of different entities, especially if you add some scaling, whatever. Let me import in something else to show the next thing, just to show some of the variety. Let's go tropical with some of these have quite a few, depending on the menu. Let's go with the coconut palm tree kind of situation, and of course these things come to scale, so that's going to be bigger than a shrub. Again, photorealistic. You can do the random transform thing, etc. The other thing, snap to ground. Again, all these little features are just kind of nice things. It doesn't matter. The point is the spawn asset, but snap to ground is kind of a cool thing. If you have a ground plane, and let's say that it's like a hilly thing, so it's not the simple case, how do you put this, how do you snap it to the ground so it looks like it's with the hilly terrain? You just hit this button and it snaps automatically, and then you can randomize the transform. It'll stay on there. Move it, snap to ground, duplicate it, and snap that one to the ground, rotate it differently, and very quickly you can build yourself a little island. So Botanique is for anybody who doesn't want to model these plants themselves because it's impossible. Comes with a whole bunch of stuff. You can check out the page. If it is something that you want to get, I urge you to use the affiliate link that I put in the description. The difference between that and just going to Blender Market is if you use the affiliate link, I get some percentage of the proceeds, which is a way to both get the add-on for the same price, it doesn't cost anything more, and it helps support this channel. So affiliate link if you want to get it. So that's just the thing. Thank you, Botanique, for, letting this be a sponsored thing. And thank you for giving me this add-on for free, because I'm going to be using it in a lot of my scenes personally. What a way to end, personally.